Melissa has completed the keywords, prediction, and cold timing steps. Those steps prepare her to work in the story she selected. Now, she'll work towards mastering the story, beginning with the read-along step.
Click Start Read Along and read along as the story is read to you.
Read along is the teacher modeling step. Students read aloud, quietly, with a recording of the story. This step helps students learn unknown words and practice difficult words. The modeling also encourages proper pronunciation, expression, and phrasing. A Spanish read-along option is available for some levels. Teachers can require their students to read along one time with a Spanish translation of the story before the English read-along.
La natación es muy divertida.
This may be appropriate for native Spanish speakers who are learning to read in English. Reading along to the Spanish translation first may help them better understand the story in English. To help her understand the story, Melissa's teacher has asked her to click the highlighted vocabulary words before starting her first read-along.
Birds of prey. Birds of prey are birds and eat reptiles, fish, and rodents.
When she's seen and heard all the definitions, Melissa is ready to start her first read-along. She clicks Start Read-Along and reads the entire story aloud quietly with the narrator.
Birds of prey circle above, and snakes slither through the grass and leaves on the ground. If the predator hasn't eaten the tail, the lizard may make a meal of it.
Click Start Read Along to read along again.
Most students read along 3 times, but older students may only need to read along once or twice. Younger students and some students with disabilities may need to read along more than 3 times.
Birds of prey circle above, and snakes slither.
Melissa is required to read along 3 times, which is the default setting. Her teacher can adjust this number if needed.
The lizard may make a meal of it.
Melissa can't move on until she completes all 3 read-alongs.
May make a meal of it.
Once she reads along the required number of times, she can click the next button to move on. In the practice step, students time themselves as they practice reading the story without the narrator. This repeated reading step helps students improve their fluency, master difficult words, and deepen their understanding of the story.
Click Start Timing and begin reading. Click on the words you don't know to hear them read to you. Click Finished if you finish reading before the bell sounds.
Melissa clicks Start Timing to begin her first practice.
Birds of prey circle above, and snakes slither.
She reads the story aloud quietly and clicks on any word she doesn't know to hear it read.
Basking.
Any word Melissa clicks is deducted from her practice score.
Click on the last word you read when the bell sounded.
Melissa clicks on the last word she read. The number of words she read correctly is displayed.
You need to practice more to meet your goal. Click Start Timing and continue practicing.
Students must practice until they can read the story at or above their goal rate. Students may practice 3 to 10 times before they reach their goals. A student must practice at least 3 times, even if he or she meets the goal earlier. But the teacher can reduce the number of practices required. Practice timings are usually 1 minute to provide frequent evidence of improvement, which motivates students. As students improve, teachers can require their students to do whole story timings, which are useful for improving comprehension in the longer, higher-level stories. For whole story timings, students read the entire story and click Finished when they get to the end. Melissa continues to practice until she reaches her goal.
Click on the last word you read when the bell sounded. You've reached your goal. You've finished all your practices. Click Start Timing to practice again, or click Next to continue.
The Next button is enabled once Melissa meets the requirements for this step. She clicks Next to move on to the quiz step.
Click the best answer, and then click Next.
In the quiz step, students answer several questions about the story. This step evaluates student comprehension of the story. The number and type of questions varies based on the student's level and series. The questions for most of the stories follow a specific pattern to help teachers identify which areas of comprehension, if any, are challenging for a student. For example, question 4 in Melissa's level always asks students to make connections in the story. Melissa can refer to the story for help answering the questions. To pass the story, Melissa has to answer all the questions correctly. The program scores most of Melissa's answers as she works. Her teacher will evaluate the short answer questions during the pass step. Once Melissa has answered all the questions, she clicks Next to move on to the retell step.
Retell or summarize the story in your own words. Click Review Story if you want to read the story again.
This step helps students to comprehend, remember, and retell what they've read. Melissa clicks Review Story to review the story first. When she's finished, Melissa closes the story to return to the retell page. This step is timed. Students have 5 minutes to complete this step once they start typing. Teachers can change this time limit if needed. Students can't move on until they've typed something in the box. Once Melissa's finished retelling the story, she clicks Next to continue.